From Kern Government Television, welcome to this week's Kern County Board of Supervisors meeting. Originating from the County Administrative Center, located at 1115 Truxtun Avenue in Bakersfield, California. Grounded in ideas, energy, and innovation, Kern County's vision is to be a driving force for the world's fifth largest economy. And our mission is to exceed expectations of the communities we serve, changing the way they feel about government, those who manage it, and the services it provides. Today's Kern County Board of Supervisors meeting will convene momentarily.
Good morning, everyone. I'd like to welcome you to the Tuesday, January 9th, 2024 Board of Supervisors meeting, our morning session, board to reconvene. The first item is roll call.
Supervisor Peters.
Here.
Supervisor Scribner.
Here.
Supervisor Flores.
Here.
Supervisor Couch.
Here.
Supervisor Perez.
Here.
Next item is our salute to the flag. We're going to focus our veterans this year doing this the flag salute. Today it's going to be led, pardon me, by Jorge Partida. He is a specialist in the U.S. Army who served as a combat engineer from 2011 to 2014. He served in the Iraq War in 2011, and he now serves the veteran community here as the manager at our Bakersfield Vet Center. Mr. Partida, please lead us. And by the way, at the end of that, please remain standing for a moment of prayer, silence, or meditation, whichever you prefer.
Salute, pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Mr. Partida, and thank you for your service to our country. Our next item is our pet of the week, so I'm going to ask Nick Cullen to come out. He's got a little friend to introduce us to. Morning, Nick. Hello. Red lights on.
Good morning.
It's not working, so we're going to talk loud.
Good morning, Chairman Couch, members of the board. I brought with me Cotton. That is this furball's name that I have in my arms. Probably a little bit too big for me to be holding, but he's a shelter dog. He's available for adoption at the Kern County Animal Shelter right now. He's about 3 years old. He's a mixed breed. He's only 20 pounds, and he's not getting any bigger than this. So he's going to make somebody a really cool household pet.
He obviously doesn't want to go home with me, so somebody needs it. Good luck, Cotton. See you later.
Thank you.
Thank you, Nick. Next is the consent agenda. All items listed with a CA or a C above the item number are considered to be routine and non-controversial by our county staff. The CA represents the consent agenda for the Board of Supervisors. The C represents the consent agenda for the Kern Sanitation Authority and or the Ford City Taft Heights Sanitation District and or the IHSS Public Authority. Consent items are going to be considered first and may be approved by one motion. If anyone here would like to make a comment or ask questions regarding a specific item or items on the consent agenda, they can do so prior to the vote by asking that item be taken off the consent agenda. A member of the board may remove any item from the consent agenda. It will be considered in its listed sequence with an opportunity for any member of the public to address the board concerning that item before any action is taken. By the way, we're going to take, just as a point of clarification, I'm going to use the chairman's discretion today. We're going to take item 27 out of order. When we conclude our consent agenda here, we're going to hear item 27 before we, I'm sorry, after item 6. So is there anyone here that would like to make any comment on any items on the consent agenda or ask that any items be pulled for separate consideration? I'm going to tell you what those items are. Starting on page 2, items 2 and 3, and then 7 through 10. Page 3, items 14 through 17. Page 4, items 18 through 25. Page 5, item 26. Page 26, items 28 through 33. Page 7, items 35 through 37 and 39 through 41. Page 8, items 42 through 48. I don't see anyone making their way down or raising their hand that they want to pull any item off the consent agenda. So,
Motion on consent?
You have a motion?
Second. Oh.
You have a motion and a second. Please cast your votes.
Thank you. The motion is approved. All ayes.
Okay, that brings us back to the top of page 2, item 1. We're going to do I'm sorry, Supervisor, you're right. You would like to make a comment.
No problem. Thank
My
you so
problem.
much, Chair, and congratulations in this new year in your new post.
Thank you.
I would like to ask my friend Ryan Nance to make his way to the podium at this time, please, and whomever you would like to accompany you. It's nice to see you, Ryan. For the public, Ryan Nance was just appointed just a moment ago with this unanimous vote of this board to Kern County's Planning Commission. This has been a long time coming. Nice. And it is a great honor of mine, Ryan. Thank you for your willingness to serve. I have a few things I'd like to say about you. Ryan Nance is a third-generation carpenter at Local 743, following in the footsteps of his father and grandfather. Ryan was raised on a horse ranch in East Bakersfield, graduating from Foothill High in 1992. He joined the Carpenter's Apprenticeship in 1993, the next year, became a state-certified journeyman carpenter, and has been building large-scale infrastructure in Kern County for the last 30 years. 3 decades. Mr. Nance is a husband, a father of 2, and has a long history of volunteerism in the community. Ryan believes in using his construction background to give back, doing countless volunteer projects over the years. Recently, building an access ramp for a local veteran in need just last month. Thank you for that, Ryan. Mr. Nance welcomes the opportunity to bring his years of construction experience and community service to the Kern County Planning Commission. I want to thank my colleagues for your unanimous support and vote of Ryan Nance to the Kern County Planning Commission. I'm very excited to see what your expertise in labor and your unparalleled devotion to Kern County and in a long history of actually building this place. Thank you, Ryan. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Leticia. I just want to say thank you to my wonderful wife and family for your support. Thank you to Supervisor Leticia Perez for your recommendation. Thank you to the board for your consideration. And I look forward to this opportunity to serve our community. Thank you.
Thank you, Ryan. Congratulations.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Supervisor. That brings us back to the top of page 2, item 1. It's our resolutions and proclamations portion. I'm sorry. Mr. Edwards, you wanted to make a comment about item 14, but we didn't get you in there, which was on the consent calendar. Could you come to the podium and we'll decide if we need to have any reconsideration of that topic or not?
So I'm here on behalf of Airman Flight Training. We're in a dispute between CAU and the airport director at Bakersfield Meadows Airport. And I'm here to make a statement on behalf of Airman Flight Training.
Go right ahead.
Okay, so dear esteemed members of the board and the city council, as a founder of Airman Flight Training is headquartered at Long Beach Airport since 2019. I'm writing to address the critical issue we face in Bakersfield. Our endeavor, rooted at the American dreams and values and fairness of opportunity, has encountered unexpected turbulence that not only our challenges and aspirations
but also our principles of free enterprise and democracy. In September, we initiated a partnership with Epic Jet Center at 2103 Airport Drive in Bakersfield, previously the FedEx site, to establish a flight school. A beacon of learning and opportunity with the airport director and the county's lawyer, leading to a request to cancel our contract. So we're in a dispute with the county's lawyer, and they're leading a request to cancel our contract with an inexplicable rejection in our application. Our dedication to the aviation education is evident, and we're weathered a global pandemic, supporting over 20 staff members and educational students, including 40 from India, significantly contributing to the local and national economy. Questions about our financial stability and legitimacy are unfounded and disregard our compliance with FAA regulations, tax responsibilities, and efforts towards FAA Part 141 certification. Ironically, our inability to secure a local office at this address in Bakersfield necessary for certification hinders our growth and potential. This issue transcends business and is about principle and equity. We seek not special treatment, but the right to conduct an honest business in a land known for democratic values and free enterprise. Our mission is to empower and inspire aviators, enhancing Bakersfield vibrancy and dynamicism. Currently, we are a transient attendant at this airport, collaborating with Epic and purchasing fuel from Atlantic, Lloyd's, and Epic to comply with transient requirements. The airport is at risk of losing federal grant money due to this discrimination. The county is missing out on revenue from parking fees, taxes, and economic contributions from our students and employees. We therefore humbly appeal for our support and intervention. Let airman flight training soar and embody the ethos of opportunity, fairness, and progress. Grant us the right to operate at Bakersfield Meadows in conjunction with Epic Flight Center, respecting the principle of our free enterprise, with respect and favorable resolution. Thank you.
Sir, I may be missing it, but connect the dots to me from this issue to item 14.
I'm speaking on behalf of just a dispute that we're having between the airport director and Epic Jet Center.
So you're not speaking directly to item 14?
This, from what I understand, item 14 was addressing the Bakersfield Meadows Airport.
It's addressing a ground lease agreement at the airport.
Yes, we're ground leasing a.
But not this lease. You're not addressing this lease.
We're basically going subletting through Epic Jet Center at the old FedEx site, and we're being
Have you read this? Have you read this item?
No, not in particular. I'm just here to speak on the company's behalf.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
Yeah, would you like to submit that in writing?
Yes, I have it.
Thank you. Please just provide it to our clerk. Yes, sir.
I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman. If it would be okay, if possible, for item 27 to also be pulled for the in-home supportive services presentation, just in case there is some comment that we need to make, if that's possible.
Item 27 is going to be heard. I probably wasn't very clear about this. We're going to take that out of order. We're going to hear it after item 6, but before public statements, public presentations.
Okay.
So when we get to that item, Mr. Zervis is going to give a presentation, and then anyone will be able to speak to that item at that time.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
But let me add one other thing. But that's the time they should speak, and they won't be allowed to speak on that particular item during public presentations.
Understood.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Okay. Back to item 1. Item 1 is a resolution honoring our 3rd District Supervisor, Jeff Flores, for his numerous accomplishments as our 2023 Chairman of the Board of Supervisors. So I have, I'm going to read the resolution, and I'm going to present that to you, Jeff. Sure. Sorry? I guess we need a motion to approve that first.
Motion to approve. Second.
All in favor, please cast your votes.
The motion is approved. All ayes.
I've been very anxious to get to read this to you. The resolution reads, in 2023, 3rd District Supervisor Jeff Flores proudly served as chairman of the Kern County Board of Supervisors during his inaugural year in office, bringing a wealth of experience from his tenure as his predecessor's chief of staff. Under his esteemed leadership, Chairman Flores led the board in allocating historic investments in Kern County's quality of life services, supporting our mission of being the best place to live and work in California. Chairman Flores championed the renovation of Kern County parks by leading the board in a momentous $50 million investment in improvements countywide, elevating a breadth of underserved communities by working directly with residents to achieve a shared vision of safety and play, in addition to competitively increasing Kern County Park ranger salaries to better protect the people who frequent our green spaces. In line with Kern County's priority for safety, Chairman Flores led the Sheriff's Office through a successful year of recruitment and retention of its sworn and civilian personnel, hiring a number of deputies that has not been seen in recent years due to wage increases, competitive signing bonuses, and other incentives to successfully staff Kern County jails, specialized units, and patrol. Chairman Flores also supported the board in overhauling Kern County's public safety equipment by purchasing needed apparatuses for the Sheriff's Department, such as a new helicopter, as well as a myriad of life-saving equipment for the Kern County Fire Department and Probation Department. In April of this year, Kern County began collecting its 1-cent sales tax known as Measure K, in which Chairman Flores led the county in allocating this new resource to improve our libraries, make needed upgrades to local infrastructure, and most importantly, deliver essential wage increases to Kern County's nearly 8,000 employees. Chairman Flores aided the county in combating homelessness through the construction of our community's first tiny homes village in Oildale, in addition to leading the charge against illegal encampments by delivering anticipated services directly to his district. With a continual attack on the legitimacy of the election processes nationwide, Chairman Flores supported the improvement of Kern County's election division by investing $2.7 million into security and equipment enhancements. As the energy landscape changes due to unprecedented state regulation, Chairman Flores successfully maintained Kern County's position as the energy capital of California by leading the board in the presentation of a vision for a carbon management business park, which provides inspiration for the private sector and online education on possible new clean energy projects that could be sited together to protect communities while storing CO2 and providing for jobs and tax revenues. Chairman Flores has deeply touched the lives of Kern County's four-legged constituents by approving $16 million for the development and construction of a new animal shelter to help reduce our local population of stray animals and increase our rate of pet adoption. Finally, through Chairman Flores' first year in office, he led the board through many anticipated events, including the groundbreaking of the Tajon Hard Rock Hotel and Casino, reopening of the Roberts Lane transfer station to combat illegal dumping, creation of the Oildale Music Park, and the completion of additional mileage to the nation's largest municipal bike path along the Kern River. Now, therefore, it is resolved that the Board of Supervisors of the County of Kern, State of California, does hereby commend and thank Supervisor Jeff Flores for leading the Board of Supervisors and the County of Kern in these outstanding accomplishments during his time as chairman. And it's dated today, January 9th, 2024. Jeff, it's signed by all your colleagues, including yourself. So I'd like to present this to you.
I plugged in. It's not updated yet, so it's actually me.
Okay, I got you. By the way, I think we should also give Jeff's family. Being the chairman takes a little bit of more time, and you're away more. So I want to thank your family for allowing you that flexibility, and also thank your staff because they pick up the slack as well. So the floor is yours.
Thank you, Chairman. What a great year of accomplishments and opportunities and challenges, and it was an honor to serve the 3rd District my first year and also serve as chairman. Those accomplishments are shared responsibility from my colleagues on this board, and each and every one of you. Thank you. It was an honor to serve with you. I could not have done it without you. To our 8,000 employees, to all of our department heads, to our CEO, our county council, the whole county leadership, and the public and the private sector,
We are all in this together, so this is a shared accomplishment, and I appreciate you. I'm very thankful. And we may disagree on the method sometimes, but we all agree on the mission, and the mission is to advance Kern County every step of the way, to be competitive, to protect jobs, the economy, and to serve our constituents to the best of our ability. And we accomplished that, so thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor. By the way, to our staff, the signs may have changed, but oh, you did? Okay. Supervisor Perez. Well, it says Perez on my screen, so let's go to Scribner over here.
Yeah, and I actually not sure how the buttons. You fixed the buttons punching. Okay, great, because my name showed up on there, so I guess I better think of something to say. But I definitely do want to make a few comments. Supervisor Flores obviously had a lot of experience when he came to the county in his capacity working for former Supervisor Maggard as his chief of staff. He was one of the smartest and most well-prepared staff members that we probably ever had in the county, and that just really translated once he became a board member. One of our colleagues up here, his intelligence, his preparation, and his poise was demonstrated each and every day. It's a kind of a tough job sometimes running these meetings, depending on how controversial an issue is. Jeff, I think you did a marvelous job through all the tough days and made the easy days look just as smooth as someone who'd done it many, many times. And so to come in and do it your first year is even that much harder. So kudos to you. It's been an honor to get to serve with you this last year, and look forward to many more.
Likewise. Thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor. Now, Supervisor Perez.
Thank you, Chairman Couch. Well, Jeff, we've been at this for a while. I remember we served together at the Planning Commission, Kern County Planning Commission. To watch Ryan get appointed today brings back a lot of memories of, a body that is truly devoted to land use, to understanding the complexity of Kern County, our remarkable resources, our assets, our opportunities. You've been at this for a long time, and Zach stole my thunder a little bit because I wanted to remark also that you coming in as chair your first year, I think there was a little bit of nervousness about that. If you could handle what would be inevitably some very controversial, difficult, emotional issues. I think you had the hardest chairmanship that I've seen in some time, frankly, and I never saw you sweat. Not once, not because you weren't nervous or you weren't completely invested in the right outcome, which isn't always clear, but you were very smooth, you kept your cool, you were firm, respectful, and fair. And I can't tell you how many people from my world have complimented you to me through the last year on Facebook, over text message, when I see them in person. I've been quite astounded at the outpouring of gratitude, kind of surprised, because people didn't know how you would be, and I think pleasantly surprised at your command of the issues, your devotion to public service, and your performance. I think it was exceptional, and I'm grateful to serve with you. Thank you for a great year, and I tip my hat to you.
Thank you.
Supervisor Peters.
Thank you, Chairman. Supervisor Flores, I know what you were going through this past year, as we're both the newer guys on the board, and both of us were chairman in our first year, so now that you're out of the big chair and you're just slumming it with us regular board members, it does get easier. But I appreciate your leadership. It's been awesome working with you, not only on the Board of Supervisors, but also during our time on the high school Board of Trustees together. You've been a great advocate for your constituents, and I just appreciate the opportunity to work with you, and looking forward to it in the coming year.
Likewise. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, our next item is item 4. It is a proclamation proclaiming January 24 as Human Trafficking and Awareness Month in Kern County, and it will be presented by Supervisor Perez.
Thank you so much, Chair. I would like to make a motion on the proclamation.
Second.
You have a motion and a second. Please cast your votes.
And also invite Dustin Contreras and his team to the podium.
The motion is approved. All ayes.
Supervisor, before you get started, could I ask everyone to silence their cell phones? Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Honorable Chairman and colleagues, it is with a heavy heart that I make this presentation today, proclaiming January 2024 as Human Trafficking Awareness Month in Kern County. Human trafficking is an issue that we unfortunately see way too often. While it is difficult to pinpoint a precise number, the U.S. Department of State has estimated that every year about 17,500 victims are trafficked into the United States. This is in addition to the tens of thousands of other individuals who are trafficked within our own U.S. borders. Human trafficking is one of the most evil atrocities our global society faces. In some cases, traffickers deceive, defraud, or physically force victims into providing commercial sex or free labor. This is modern-day slavery. It is a multi-billion-dollar criminal industry that denies freedom to 25 million people around the world. California, a populous border state with a significant immigrant population and the world's fourth largest economy, is one of the nation's top destination states for trafficking human beings, often children. The victims of human trafficking are often young girls and women, making up 57.6% of forced labor victims and 99.4% of sex trafficking victims. I would like to extend a deep and heartfelt gratitude to Mr. Dustin Contreras and his team. He's the co-director of Kern Coalition Against Human Trafficking, and his wonderful colleagues who work tirelessly every day to provide resources and community to those impacted by this heinous crime. You are on the front lines of this issue, and I cannot thank you enough for the hope and love you give to members of our community, our state, and our global humanity. I think it's telling and also quite apropos that on Law Enforcement Appreciation Day, I get to thank you, Dustin, for your heart, for your professionalism, for your leadership in treating every member of this community as we would want our own family and children to be treated. Thank you, Dustin. The floor is yours. Actually, I messed that up.
Right.
The Board of Supervisors in the County of Kern, State of California, officially proclaims January 2024 as Human Trafficking Awareness Month in Kern County, and this recognition has been entered into the official board minutes and signed by our Honorable Chairman, David Couch. And now the floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor Perez, Chairman Couch, and the rest of the board. For your constant support of the Kern Coalition Against Human Trafficking, survivors and victims of human trafficking here in Kern. We've been coming to this chamber for over a decade now, and let us pray that one day we don't have to come here when we can really eradicate this and not have to do these proclamations. But here we are a decade later, still doing it. I want to give a special thanks to our victim service providers here in Kern County, namely Carol Beecroft with the Women's Center High Desert, mostly in District 1 and some of the other districts in the East County. They're the sister organization to the Open Door Network here in Bakersfield. Lauren Skidmore with the Open Door Network and their respective staff who are on the front lines of the war on trafficking here in Kern. Those victim service providers are the ones that are seeing the victims first, along with our law enforcement, and able to get them the help that they need and out of the situations that they're in. Dr. Angela Look, social worker Christy Esquivel with the Department of Human Services and the entire CSEC unit, who this year had 144 investigations called into their hotline this year alone. That's 144 children, to put that in perspective. Our law enforcement partners, our District Attorney Cindy Zimmer, Sheriff Donnie Youngblood, and BPD Chief Greg Terry. And our newest partners, Chairman Octavio Acevedo and Vice Chairman June Nature with the Tohono Indian Tribe, for allowing us to stand with them as address the missing and murdered Indigenous persons crisis. Some of you, or most of you, were there at the groundbreaking and heard when we talked about MMIP. The biggest thanks to our very own Senator Shannon Grove, who passed legislation this year making human trafficking a serious crime and a strike for repeat offenders. At this time, I would like to ask a consultant, Ophelia Flores, with KCAT to come up and say a few words.
Hi, my name's Ophelia Flores. I'm a consultant for KCAT, and I'm also a survivor of familial trafficking. My trafficking happened locally here in a rural town in Kern County. When I was young, I didn't have resources. And I literally walked into the sheriff's department and told what was happening, and I was arrested. Now I am a resource. And I'm very thankful for CPS, Canyon Hills, CityServe for being a resource. In the 80s, there was no resources. KCAT has recently sent me to Washington, D.C. I've never been there, and to a conference for personal development. And I was very, very thankful for them for doing that. And I just want to say awareness and education is moving towards prevention. Definitely. Because if I knew the words, if I knew that was wrong, when you grow up in it, I didn't know. I didn't know. And I'm just thankful that it's safe enough now that I can tell my story. And it's okay for me to tell it now. And just, and thank you for the Awareness Month.
Thank you.
I'll just finish this reminding everyone the estimated 20.76 million people are subject to human trafficking globally, including cases of human trafficking reported in every U.S. state and territory, with the most being in California. Human trafficking can be prevented by building individual, community, and social society understanding and resilience, reducing social inequities, and addressing the conditions that contribute to exploitation. KCAT is dedicated to ensuring everyone impacted by human trafficking can receive these services that provide individualized care, understand the impact of trauma, and incorporate cultural and language access by collaborating with all of our partners, but especially our lived experience experts, our champions, Ophelia Flores from And Then, Angelica Zuniga with Redeemed Home, and Odessa Perkins from Empowerment. These heroes will lead and help us abolish human trafficking everywhere. Thank you again to the board for declaring Human Trafficking Month here in Kern.
Thank you all for being here, and thank you for your work on this. By the way, Mr. Contreras is one of our board members on Quesera, and he does an excellent job for us. Thank you, Dustin. That brings us to item 5. Item 5 proclaims January 24 as National Eligibility Workers Recognition Month in Kern County, and this will be presented by Supervisor Flores.
Thank you. Motion on proclamation.
Second.
You have a motion and a second.
The motion is approved. All ayes.
Thank you.
Morning, Chairman, board members. It's a pleasure to proclaim January 2024 as National Eligibility Workers Recognition Month. Today, we honor our county's eligibility professionals. Our professionals are dedicated to administering benefits that support our department's mission of ensuring individuals and families in our community are safe and healthy. CalFresh, CalWorks, foster care, homeless assistance, and general assistance cases will benefit issuance of more than $629 million annually. These workers continue to play a crucial role in establishing and maintaining over 200,000 Medi-Cal cases. The provision of these benefits ensure that children, foster youth, and our individuals and families have housing, utilities, clothing, food, and medical care. And these are more than just numbers. These are lives. These are family members. These are our friends. These are our neighbors. Any one of us could go through bad times, and what they do is just critical to the well-being of our community. Oftentimes, they're on the precipice of homelessness or bad health outcomes, and you guys are holding the line, keeping our community safe. So with utmost appreciation from our board members and from our chair, I'd like to, it's recommended that our board proclaim the month of January, again, 2024, as National Eligibility Workers Recognition Month, signed by our Honorable Chairman, David Couch, dated this date, January 9th, and I'd like to present it to you, our Director, Lito Murillo of DHS.
Thank you.
Thank you. Say a few words.
Thank you, Supervisor Flores. Good morning, Mr. Chair and members of the board. Thank you so much for this proclamation. Obviously recognizing January as National Eligibility Workers Month. For the purposes of the presentation, I'm going to interchange eligibility worker to human services technician. They're the same classification. I'm joined here today by Cindy Utes, our Chief Deputy Director, and Mark McAllister, who is a Program Director over our call center of eligibility workers. HSTs have a difficult job. They take on, those that take on this profession really develop a skill set to work with people, obviously work as a team, deal with people in the most vulnerable state, and also adapt to regulations and changes in automation. I'm proud to say that HSTs has a long history in developing leaders over the years. Currently, right now, 3 of your department heads used to be previous HSTs. You have many in management positions, and then 1 executive director currently serving as a nonprofit that used to be an HST as well. I want to take this opportunity to thank the 600 eligibility workers that we have working in the county. Day in and day out, they're challenged with making sure our community is housed, fed, and have access to medical care through the programs they administer. I'm truly in awe of the HSTs and the work that they do. And just to kind of give you perspective and magnitude of the size of what we contend with, we have 16,000 CalWorks cases, over 90,000 CalFresh cases, and over 200,000 Medi-Cal cases. And those caseloads continue to grow as we receive about 2,500 applications each week. I'd like to commend every single one of our eligibility professionals for their honorable commitment and dedication and passion to serve others. I thank you for this proclamation recognizing their work and the dedication that they have to the families and children of our community. I'm going to turn it over to Mark McAllister now, who's going to talk about some of the activities and some other things that HSTs do as well.
Good morning, Chairman Couch and members of the board. Again, I'm Mark McAllister. I'm a program director within the Employment and Financial Services Bureau of the Department of Human Services. I am deeply honored and humbled to stand before you today as January 2024 is proclaimed National Eligibility Workers Recognition Month. It is with immense pride that we acknowledge the unwavering efforts of Kern's eligibility professionals. This recognition signifies the dedication and commitment of Kern's eligibility staff who tirelessly administer benefits, embodying the department's core purpose to enrich the lives of our community's children, families, and individuals by ensuring their safety and health. The perseverance of our eligibility professionals is remarkable as they manage and maintain over 116,000 CalWorks, CalFresh, foster care, homeless assistance, and general assistance cases. Additionally, their pivotal role in establishing and sustaining over 200,000 Medi-Cal cases is vital in providing essential benefits, ensuring children, foster youth, individuals, and families have access to housing, utilities, clothing, food, and medical care. In all, they are servicing over 600,000 individuals in our community. I am also proud to share that our eligibility professionals consistently provide accurate and timely CalFresh benefits, which is evident in our current commendable error rate of 3.71%. In celebration of their dedication, activities have been scheduled and organized throughout the month, including staff luncheons, spirited dress-up days, and various creative engagements. We also have 4 eligibility staff attending the annual New Paths Conference in Anaheim, California, from January 17th to January 19th. This conference offers invaluable networking opportunities, workshops, and professional development sessions, fostering growth in leadership, knowledge, and promoting self-care with the goal of enriching their personal and professional lives. On behalf of our department, I extend profound gratitude to our eligibility professionals for their unwavering commitment and commendable service to our community. This recognition is well-deserved, and we stand together in honoring their dedication during National Eligibility Workers Recognition Month. Thank you.
If I could just have the eligibility professionals that are in the audience, please stand. Again, thank you for the recognition.
Lito, stay there for just a moment. Thank you to all of the workers, but I want to give you a personal thanks. December 22nd, I think it was the Friday before Christmas, I called you 8:30 at night because I had been, a friend of mine had reached out to me that had a family member that was having an issue. And I don't know how you pulled a rabbit out of a hat, but between Kern County and another county and the court system, you got a little baby to be able to spend Christmas with their family. The baby wouldn't remember it, but it meant the world to the family. And I just want to thank you for that.
Supervisor Couch, thank you for that feedback. It really means quite a bit. But that kind of work not only happens with me, but obviously the HSCs that I have behind me. And in that particular case, Brenda Maldonado, who's a social service supervisor, Limbanya Sandoval is the program director, and then Maria Bermudez, who's their assistant director. They made that happen, so I'm glad it all worked out.
Well, the family they were amazed, first of all, but they were extremely grateful. So thank you very much to all of those people. Thank you. Okay, next item is item 6. It is the appointment of Candace Neal, a qualified candidate, to the Kern County Hospital Authority Board of Governors to fill a community member at-large vacancy and the term to expire June 30th, 2024. I'm going to turn this over. We have a little different process here for this one. I'm going to turn this over to our clerk of the board.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. Yes, as you currently stated, there is a vacancy on the Kern County Hospital Authority Board of Governors. The process for filling vacancies on this particular board is outlined in Chapter 2.170 of the Kern County Ordinance Code, and it requires a written ballot process. When the resignation of Raji Brar was received by the clerk of the board, the required vacancy notice was posted, and applications were made available online and through Kern Medical and the clerk of the board's office. All applications received are reviewed by the Hospital Authority Board of Governors to verify that initial qualifications have been met by the applicant. Subsequently, your board received the hospital, the hospital board's recommendation to appoint Candace Neal as a qualified candidate to fill the vacancy. Kern County Hospital Authority Chief Executive Officer Scott Thigerson and applicant Candace Neal are in the audience if you would like to hear from either of them or from any member of the public before completing the balloting process.
So is there anyone here that would like to make any comment on this item before we cast our ballots? Seeing none, I'll just ask the board to Turn in our votes to you.
Yes, each board member has a ballot. If they would go ahead and mark their ballot and turn it in to you, you can pass those to me. I will tabulate and report. Am I missing one? Thank you. Ballot tabulation reflects that Candace Neal has received 5 votes, and having received the majority of the votes cast, Candace Neal is appointed as community member at large to the Kern County Hospital Authority Board of Governors, effective immediately to fill a vacancy for a term expiring June 30th, 2024. Thank you.
Ms. Neal in the audience?
Oh, she is.
There you are. Thank you, congratulations, and really thank you for your willingness to serve the community. Next item would normally be public presentations number 12, but we're going to take item 27 out of order. Item 27 is a presentation on the In-Home Supportive Services Public Authority, including its relationship with providers for collective bargaining, payroll, and employment. And I'm turning it over to Mr. Zervis, our CAO.
Yes, thank you, Chairman Couch. I've placed this item on the agenda because there has been quite a bit of discussion over the past few meetings about IHSS, and there's been some conflicting statements. You've heard from me that IHSS workers aren't county employees, for example, and you've heard from workers that have said they are, and I've repeatedly said this is a very complex program that's delivered throughout the state of California. And I thought it warranted the opportunity to come before your board and just present some facts around IHSS, Kern County, where we're at with that, and be able to give your board a better understanding of the nuances surrounding IHSS, particularly in Kern County.
Before you get into that, I want to make sure that we do something, and that's we have Fernando Lopez here to do translation. If anyone here would like, let me ask Mr. Lopez to come down front and address the audience. If anyone here would like translation services from English to Spanish, please let us know now. We've had some Spanish speakers in the past on this particular item, so I've asked that Mr. Lopez be here today to translate, because I think this is important information.
And that's when they come forward and address you, right?
I'm sorry?
And that's for when they come forward.
Can I get you to come to the microphone? Because I'm not hearing you.
The message is for there'll be translation service or interpreting services when they come to address the board.
I'd also like you to interpret Mr. Zervis's presentation.
Yes.
For those that would like it.
Already done.
Thank you.
Okay. Para las personas que están presentes, yo me llamo Fernando López, voy aquí para interpretarles. Si cuando sea la porción de comentarios del público quieren venir aquí, lo voy a interpretar. Por lo contrario, atrás hay unos audífonos para las personas que quieren escuchar lo que están diciendo. Gracias.
Thank you, Mr. Lopez. Okay, Mr. Zervis, I apologize for that interruption.
No problem. Thank you, Chairman Couch, for clarifying the translations available. And I'm going to wait for my slides to be put up on the presentation. And I apologize in advance. I'm going to get into some weeds. I'm going to get into some detail here because it's relevant to the discussion. I think it's important that folks understand, that your board understands some of these nuances. I'm certainly not an expert in IHSS. That actually falls under your Department of Aging. And that department head, Mr. Oliver, is here this afternoon or this morning. And if there are kind of questions about how it actually functions, I may call on him to help support that, I think. But I can give you an understanding of how kind of the lay of the land with respect to IHSS and the fiscal workings of how that program is paid for and administered and how it functions within California and within Kern County specifically. So I appreciate the opportunity. IHSS workers, so this program, and as I mentioned, this is really a program that has federal involvement, it has state involvement, and has local involvement at a couple different levels. And so IHSS workers, understanding what they are, this is a state program that's administered by each county in California. So the state said, counties, you're going to administer the IHSS program on the state's behalf. That's not uncommon. A lot of state programs the county implements and runs. That's one thing counties do on behalf of the state and federal government. This is one example of that. It is a program that connects qualified in-home care workers for older adults and individuals with disabilities. So it's folks saying, look, I want to provide needed care for an elderly person or someone with a disability, and it's non-medical, so these services are not medical in nature, but they do include things such as bathing, feeding, dressing, domestic services like shopping, cooking, housework, so that they can remain safely in their homes. So I think the big picture, the reason these programs exist is the federal and state governments that say, hey, it's more cost effective to be able to provide these services in home as opposed to having someone go out and require full-time care or part-time care in an assisted living type facility. So that's what this program is. It pays people to provide those types of services, non-medical, but important kind of important life services into the care and kind of quality of life of those folks that need that assistance. We'll talk a little more in detail about this, but the state is ultimately the entity that says, yes, you qualify for these types of services and will pay for X number of hours of service. So it is the state that makes that determination, and we'll talk about the different roles in how this actually works. So the county's role. So in 1999, AB 1682 established kind of the big picture on how IHSS works in California, and it said counties, for the most part, there's some nuances here, but for the most part, counties create a public authority to serve as the employer of record. So, and that is for collective bargaining purposes only, with no authority to hire, fire, supervisor, or otherwise direct the work of IHSS workers. So in 1999, this law was passed, and counties created a public authority. Your board created a public authority that oversees this. That is the entity, the legal entity, that bargains with UDW with respect to wages and working conditions for IHSS workers in Kern County. So it is the public authority, Kern County Public Authority, that does that. It is that public authority that serves as the employer of record. But it is limited employer of record. So usually when a business hires people, they are the employer of record for all aspects of work. Directing work, hiring, firing, setting wages, negotiating, everything. That's not the case, and this is one of the complexities when we start to talk about IHSS workers. The county, really the public authority, is only that employer of record with respect to collective bargaining. So the other functions that we do as a county, as a public authority, is we do a lot of administrative work. So we establish a registry of individual care providers. So we say you're approved by the state to provide care. We have to have a registry of all those folks to connect people, connect recipients with providers. And we act as that intermediary. It's really a ministerial duty on behalf of the county. This isn't something, we don't make determinations on whether or not someone's eligible or should be hired as a care provider. The state makes all those determinations. We just facilitate the administration. So we maintain that registry. We establish a referral system to connect providers and recipients. We do background screening of potential care providers. That's according to state rules and policies. Those aren't arbitrary on our behalf. We simply act as an agent of the state to facilitate their management of the IHSS program. We do provide training and some other services to providers and performance of other IHSS duties approved by the governing board of the Board of Supervisors. So really, other than outside of the collective bargaining process, the role of the county is really to connect providers with recipients and get them through that state process to determine if they're eligible to be providers or recipients or not. That's respectively, that's the county's role and really the public authority's role when it comes to IHSS. Now, the recipient's role is interesting. So the recipient, this is the person that actually is receiving the care from IHSS workers. So the recipient is actually the employer of record for providers for things such as hiring, changing providers, firing, directing work, or supervising the provider. So when it comes to the decision to hire or fire somebody or tell them what to do or manage the workload or the responsibility, it's actually the recipient, the person receiving that care, is legally the employer of record with respect to all of those other functions. So the county, we bargain. And when we talk about bargaining, bargaining is simply the negotiation of wages and working conditions, right? So we sit down and bargain what the pay rate is, and effectively that's the limit of the county's authority when it comes to being the employer of record. It is the recipient that can decide to hire somebody, fire somebody, tell them what to do, determine whether or not they're happy with the work that's being provided. That falls legally under the recipient's role. So there's two different employer of records in that regard. In addition, the state's involved. The state actually pays IHSS workers. So IHSS workers do not get a paycheck from the county of Kern because they're not county employees. And even when we talk about the county's role, I want to be really clear, we're really talking about the public authority's role. That is different than the county. So it's the public authority that's the employer of record with respect to bargaining, not Kern County. And when it comes to payment, W-2s, those types of payroll functions, obviously the recipient wouldn't be in a position to manage that, so the state actually manages the disbursement of pay and those aspects to the IHSS workers. It is also the state that makes this determination on whether or not, as I mentioned before, whether or not a recipient is eligible for services, and if so, how many hours they're eligible for. So if I need a certain level of care, the state may say, well, you're approved for 4 hours a day, 5 days a week. And that's what they'll pay, that's what the state will fund, and the county in some respects, or the public authority. But it is the state that determines the number of hours. It is the state that determines whether or not someone's eligible ultimately for those services. And it's the state that approves the recipients. It's actually the recipient, or the providers rather, but it's actually the recipient that controls all the day-to-day hiring, firing, control of work, all of those kind of management responsibilities that are typical with an employer-employee relationship. So it's complicated. There's several parties that are involved, and we all have very distinct roles. And in the county's case, really the public authority's case, it is limited to just that piece when it comes to collective bargaining, and then our administrative function when it comes to managing with the state, kind of the overall system on how we connect providers to recipients. In IHSS in California, so in 2022, so that was 99. So that system's been going on for a long time, and the counties were, the public authorities rather, were negotiating and running those systems along with the state and the providers. In 2022, there was a law that changed, so IHSS unions, one of which is UDW, they're not the only one. There are other unions that represent IHSS workers in the state. Collectively, they successfully lobbied the state to pass legislation to penalize counties if they're unable to reach agreement with the unions. So they got the state legislature to pass a law that targeted, frankly, 3 counties, and it was very clear and specific to 3 counties. It applies to everybody, but the way it was written really applied to 3, and that was Kern County was one of those. And what that did, the result of that change, was a couple things. So the county, the public authority, was required to bargain for non-county workers, right? We bargain on behalf of the whole system, this complicated system. We bargain with IHSS workers, UDW in this case, where we don't have any control over the work and we don't have any control over the hours. But we're responsible for bargaining wages. A share of those additional wages, so anything above the minimum wage, the county actually has to pay for. So, and we'll talk a little bit about more on how the cost share works in a few minutes. But so we're required to bargain, we're required to pick up the additional costs of anything above minimum wage, we being the county, and we're continually penalized financially if we're unable to reach an agreement that's acceptable to the union. So bargaining, this is really unusual. Bargaining is typically a negotiation. It is the employer negotiating over wages and working conditions, typically. In this case, the legislature has put this kind of undue influence into that process to say counties are subject to a penalty, financial penalty, if you don't come to an agreement acceptable to the union. And so you can see how that inherently affects the bargaining relationship and the outcomes there. And I asked the question here, does this make sense? CSAC, the California State Association of Counties, went out very strongly opposed to this legislation in 2022. They made a couple points that I just put on this slide, that it would allow every county to be leveraged into a $1 a wage increase because you're facing a penalty, or increasing pay to a level acceptable to the unions. CSAC made a point here that many counties can't afford an increase because you're taking funding away from other safety net programs, such as social services, such as the folks that you heard from today, that we're honoring today in doing that social work, and health and behavioral health. And they said, if the state's interested in dictating the outcomes of local bargaining, the state should assume responsibility for bargaining or provide funding for these mandated increases. The laws the state passed said, counties, you're responsible for bargaining, but then they came in and say, oh, but if you can't reach an agreement, you're going to get penalized. Well, if the state's so interested in the outcome of bargaining, CSAC's point here is that the state should take control and financial responsibility for those decisions. I credit our former county CAO. This statement's been in the paper a couple times. Where it's unfortunate, but this is the reality. This is really a case of UDW leadership colluding with state legislature to blackmail Kern County taxpayers into providing wage increases on their terms. Pretty strong statement. I have to say I agree with that statement. I spent a lot of time thinking about this as I was thinking about kind of both sides of this whole issue. It is clearly a case where the state is interfering with the bargaining relationship. I questioned whether it was legal when it first passed, but I'm not an attorney, and it must be since it's been imposed and it's law now. But it's clearly not bargaining in good faith. It's clearly not a typical negotiation between an employer and employee. And I would say, I recognize I'm in a room where people probably feel differently about this particular statement. But what I would say is if the roles were reversed, if the state legislature had passed a law that said, UDW, if you don't reach an agreement acceptable to the county, the employees are going to get a wage dock of 50 cents an hour or 60 cents an hour. I think people would think about it differently and say, well, that's interference in the bargaining process. How can employees be penalized if let the negotiations play out? So I think thinking about it that way, thinking about it both ways, it's clearly, in my mind, it is interference by state legislature, where if they're interested, they should step in and take responsibility on their own part. But it definitely impacts negotiations, and it has real financial implications to the county. We'll talk a little bit about, that's changed a little bit in this last year, and we'll chat about that in a minute. So a couple other developments. So in 2023, IHSS unions with SB 101, the legislature did pass SB 101, and that requires a review of moving back to statewide collective bargaining. Frankly, I'm in favor of this. I think it makes more sense. It's a very convoluted process right now with all these different entities having an interest in trying to manage this program. So the state has agreed to study this. They committed $1.5 million to convene a committee to actually study this, and they weren't asked to decide whether or not it's a good idea. They were actually tasked with determining the best way to move from a county-by-county approach to a statewide approach. So it's a little stronger than just saying, hey, tell us if this is a good idea for the state or how it might happen. They're saying, what's the best way to accomplish this? This will take several years, actually, and I'm concerned this probably gets sidetracked by the $68 billion deficit that our state's facing right now. But at least the state legislature recognizes that the current system is, and especially with the introduction of this penalty aspect, is broken. And it doesn't serve the interested parties well, whether that's county, whether that's workers, whether that's providers. It's fractured, and it's not an efficient way to meet the needs of all these parties. Counties are largely supportive, so we are involved through CSAC in this working group. We will have a voice into this process, as I know UDW will also, and other interested parties. So, I'm hopeful that the long-term solution here is really moving this back to a statewide bargaining approach and not county by county. I would say the argument against that we've heard in the past is that you lose the kind of the local perspective, and so the labor market in, say, Orange County or Napa County is very different than the labor market in Kern County, and they may need to do some other things in order to get enough providers to provide the necessary services, and that may get lost at the statewide level. That's been the argument for having a more localized approach in the past. So IHSS in Kern County, we don't have a lack of IHSS providers in Kern County. So when you look at the numbers, we have 13,307 recipients of IHSS services. We have 13,614 eligible providers. So we have an excess providers of about 307. That's as of December 2023. And just to kind of put this in perspective, Kern County, everything we do as a county, we have about 8,500 employees. So when you talk about 13,600 providers, that's more than 150% of our total workforce. So when you hear folks come up and say, 60 cents or $1, and it sounds like a small number, I would say keep things in perspective. This is a very large program. There's a very large number of providers, over 13,600. So some of our outlying areas, we do have an imbalance of recipients and providers, but nothing stops providers from either servicing one or more recipient or moving between jurisdictions. And I would say 68% of our providers are caring for members of their family. So when you look at our top 10 locations throughout Kern County where we've got providers and recipients, Bakersfield obviously significantly, number one here, excess providers about 332, but you can see, Delano has a deficit of 48. So you may have folks that need to come from Bakersfield to Delano or Shafter to Delano where there's a surplus. But just to give you an idea of kind of where the workload lies, these are our top 10 jurisdictions where we've got providers and recipients. But in total, we have a net excess of providers. So compensation for IHSS workers, I mentioned that this is subject to collective bargaining with the county's public authority. The base is the state minimum wage. So state minimum wage applies to IHSS workers. There is, through the bargaining process, there can be supplemental wages. So anything above the minimum wage that's negotiated through collective bargaining would be supplemental. And I'll talk about how that cost is shared in a moment. In addition to that, because IHSS workers aren't county employees, they're not eligible for county benefits. They are eligible, so in place of that, some of the unions, including UDW, have kind of set up their own pools where they negotiate additional revenue per hour that doesn't go to the provider. It instead goes to the union. and then the union manages a dental program or a life insurance program or a health care program. We've seen some counties have been unwinding those arrangements and getting that money back to the actual provider, because it's more efficient for the provider to go to Covered California and just get their insurance on the open market, as opposed to getting it provided through a union that doesn't provide for everyone's needs, just to get that money into the hand of the providers. We don't currently have that arrangement in Kern County. We have in the past, but currently that's not here, but it is part of the overall compensation that's available when we talk about this. And then, unlike most employees in California, so wages that are earned, if IHSS workers are caring for someone they live with, those wages are exempt from federal and state income tax. So, that's important because that's a significant number of the providers, and in that case, that's a significant increase in wages above minimum wage if you're not paying income tax either federally or at the state level. So just making you aware of that dynamic that exists.
If they're caring for a family member only?
That they live with.
That they live with.
They have to live with them. So IHS compensation, so who pays for this? So that's kind of the components of compensation. How the money works is complicated. So we've got a federal share. The federal government pays for some of this service. The state pays for some of it. Locally, we pay for with realignment and general fund money. And the way back in 1999, when all of this was originally set up, they set what's called a maintenance of effort. And that's a fixed amount at the time. And they said every county has to continue to pay this amount of money into the program. And then annually, that amount goes up 4% every year. So our base cost in Kern County right now, it's $12.7 million for this MOE, and every year it's going to go up by 4%. That's a lot of money. It's predictable. We know what it is. We can budget for it. We plan for it. That's part of the budgeting process and fiscal planning process we have. On top of that, anything that is negotiated in excess, any supplemental wage or additional benefit that's negotiated is in addition to that MOE. So it actually is split 35% to the county, 65% to the state for the non-federal portion. So after the feds contribute the balance, we pick up essentially a third and the state picks up 2/3. And that's up into $1.10 above the minimum wage. So the state says if you're going to have a wage supplement within $1.10 above the minimum wage, we'll share with you 65-35. Above $1.10, it's all you, county. It's all in the county. So anything above $1.10, the county has to pick up. The state does have a program for 3 years. They'll give you an allowance of 10% above the minimum wage to help kind of bridge that, but that expires. So after 3 years, it's all county, meaning the amount above $1.10. So and that was, I don't know why it's $1.10. I think that's the level that the state said they were willing to financially commit to supporting the program. So after that, it's the county. So in Kern, so that's how the money is shared. Now we talk about, we negotiate an hourly rate. And as today, we're financially obligated for the MOE and that 4% increase. But because we're negotiating for an hourly rate and the state of California is the one responsible and has all the authority over controlling the number of hours allowed, it's difficult to project the actual cost of a wage supplement. Because next year, if the state authorizes a big increase in the number of hours, right, that service providers are allowed to provide, the county is still responsible for 35% of that additional hours growth, and we have no control over, adjusting the level of service. The only thing we have control over is that hourly wage supplement. Does that make sense? So there's some uncertainty when it comes to this county's financial commitment when you talk about the cost of a wage supplement. So in Kern County, we've been out of contract for 7 years with UDW. And in that time, IHSS compensation has gone from $10.50 to $16. Why? Because the state of California has a very aggressive minimum wage policy. This is when the state committed to get to $15. quickly and then said, okay, after that, we're going to peg it to CPI. And so that's what's happening now. There was a 50-cent increase in minimum wage January 1st based on the CPI adjustment. That will continue every year. There will be built-in wage growth every year because of the state's policy on minimum wage. So over this 7-year period, that's a wage increase of 52.38%. So that's what's happened over the past 7 years. So last year, 2022, this is the first year of the penalty. And in 2022, AB 135, UDW and the state legislature passed 135, and that set the penalty at 7% of the MOE. So that $12.7 million, we were subject at the time to 7% of that MOE, and it was on a one-time basis. The county went to the bargaining process with UDW. The cost for that penalty was $788,000. So we go into negotiations knowing what that cost is. We were very clear, your board was very clear at the time, saying we would rather this money go into the workers' pockets. We would rather not pay a penalty, that this money would be better used by paying that money to our providers. We calculated that number. It was essentially a 40% pay increase that equated to the penalty. Your board authorized that offer, and that's what we did. UDW repeatedly rejected that offer, and at the end of the day, the county was forced to pay the penalty. We paid $788,000. We actually got a portion of that back. When we pay the penalty, it kind of goes back in the pot, and then the state redistributes it back to all the counties. So we actually got a little bit of it back, but that's what the state does with that money. It's strange. But again, we wanted that money to go to workers. We did everything we could to try to make that happen. It didn't happen. UDW rejected that offer. The employees saw no wage growth. If that had been accepted, the workers, IHSS workers today would be receiving 40 cents more they would have for the past year. And our negotiations now in 2023, we would be talking about increases on top of that 40 cents. But that didn't happen. The county paid the penalty. Workers didn't get anything. And that's where we left 2022. So in 2023, IHSS unions went back to the legislature and got an amendment to the penalty. So AB 120 passed, and that increased the penalty from 7% to 10% of the MOE on an annual basis. So the 7% was one time. We couldn't get penalized more than once in 2022. The unions and the legislature changed that to 10% of the MOE on an annual basis for as long as we're not coming to an agreement with the IHSS union. That cost today is calc'd at $1.2 million. And again, we've been very clear with UDW that we want that money to go to the workers. That equates to a 60% pay increase. We have offered that with a sunset provision so that we don't face a penalty and the 60 cents, meaning as long as we're not being penalized, we'll continue to pay the 60% wage increase. And that's about $1.2 million. So again, we prefer that money to go to the workers, and we've made that offer to UDW. So far, UDW's rejected that offer. So what does UDW want? They've made a couple proposals. The most recent one is this. They want $1 on top of the minimum wage, 20 cents for union-provided dental and vision, and 3% for union-provided life. That's $1.23 on top of the minimum wage, and then some money for supplies and training, $35,000. That total cost is $2.276 million to the county's general fund. The problem with this offer is that it actually expires June 30th of 24, meaning by the time we're done with this, and these have to get ratified by the state has to sign off ultimately, it's probably a 4-month contract. And then we're back at the table with UDW facing another $1.2 million penalty and paying 60 cents more. And all these folks are back here in 6 months having this same discussion. So that one's a little short, and it both has a cost of 2.3 million, plus potentially a penalty. Alternatively, just prior to that offer, IHSS, UDW rather, had proposed a 3-year deal. And this is $2.20 over 3 years, plus the dental and the life, for a total of $2.43, plus the $35,000 for supplies and training. The cost of this is $4.4 million to the general fund. Now, this is the same, general fund discretionary money that we use to provide parks and libraries and rangers and sheriff's deputies. So this is, your board is very familiar with the prioritization and constraints on meeting the community's needs. This is that same pool of funding. So that's $4.4 million that they're asking for there. So what does it look like? What do our comparable counties look like? Every county operates these. We have comparable counties. These are the same comparable counties your board uses when you're setting wages for county employees. So we're not picking and choosing different counties. These are the same counties. You can see the wage supplement. On average, that's 72 cents, and the median is 60 cents. On the far right, you can see Kern County, we've offered 60 cents, which was right at the median and equates to our penalty. UDW is somewhere between $1.23 plus the penalty to $2.43. And I would remind your board that the state only participates up to $1.10 above the minimum wage. So everything, if it's $1.23, that extra 13 cents is 100% on the county. Or for 243, $1.33 is 100% on the county. So, and then the first $1.10 is shared 35-75. So, I'm sorry, 65-35. 35 to the county. So that concludes, I guess. Here's what's next, what we have to look forward to. Well, and I guess my final comment on our comparison, I mean, you can see where we align versus our counties of comparison, and Stanislaus in particular typically is an outlier because of their proximity to the Bay Area. Yes, they're in the Valley, but their labor market is consistently high when you look at kind of county employee comparisons also. So what's next? We are continuing to bargain with UDW. We have a meeting set this week. We look forward to that. If we're able to reach an agreement, it could be ratified by the union and your board, approved by the state, and then implemented, and employees would receive that wage supplement. If an agreement is not reached, we will go through the fact-finding process and will potentially be penalized for the $1.2 million the same way that we were penalized last year for $788. So I recognize that that's a lot of information, but I hope it helped your board better understand some of the dynamics that we're dealing with when it comes to IHSS and the complexities there. I'd be happy to answer any questions that your board has.
Mr. Zervis, thank you for that presentation. I'm going to go to the board first for questions. I see Mr. Supervisor Peters has punched in. Would you like to ask your questions first?
Sure. I just wanted to make a few comments.
Okay.
I have great respect for all of our IHSS workers. I have family and friends that have been recipients and providers of IHSS services. But the way we're doing this, clearly, it doesn't work. It's important, and it's incumbent on the board to try and improve quality of life issues for Kern County residents, and this is clearly a big part of that. But also a big part of that is being good stewards of taxpayer dollars. And I'm looking at this data through the lens of a private sector business owner, and if I was going to set up a company to fail, this is exactly how it would go. I mean, we have all the responsibility, but we don't have any of the authority. I agree that this is a very deeply needed program. I know the importance of it, but if the state wants to be in control of local bargaining, then they need to step up and take the reins of that instead of trying to foist this on California counties. So I just want to thank Mr. Zervis and your staff for working through another difficult issue that the state has thrust upon us, and I would just suggest that we continue supporting legislation that would put this responsibility back on the state, since they're apparently eager to take it. Thanks.
Thank you, Supervisor. Anyone else like to make any comments before we go to the public? Okay, so we'll open it up for public comment on this item, and just ask that you come to the podium, state your name, and do your best to stay on point with what the topic is today. Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, Board of Supervisors. Wow, I'm flabbergasted. I'm really upset for all the providers here. And
I'm sorry, can you give us your name for the record?
I'm so sorry. John Rozo, R-O-Z-O. I'm the regional manager for United Domestic Workers. If all the providers can please stand up, we'll throw it. Is that Waddington? So please notice I didn't say UDW stand up. I said providers please stand up. And what UDW does is, yes, we represent providers, but it's the providers that make the decisions on the contract, not UDW. We have members that sit on the bargaining team with our attorney. The attorney is the one that takes the lead, but these members are the ones that make the decisions. It's really frustrating how you frame this, because, and as a business owner, wouldn't you think that 35% is not actually correct? It's 16.5%. So for every dollar that you guys invest in these providers, you guys are only paying 16.5 cents. I think that's a pretty good investment. Additionally, public authority is the county. And I know because I worked for public authority. I was a county employee. Mr. Oliver can confirm that, so can Mr. Murillo. I was at Aging Adult Services for the better part of 4.5 years. So to say that public authority is not the county, that's incorrect, because I was a county employee, and that's false. Our providers will not take less. The inflation is out of hand, housing is out of hand, and this is only the right thing to do. And they deserve for you guys to just do the right thing. We can talk about some of the money that the CA was talking about, but the $25,000 for supplies, that's not just any supplies, that's PPE. And in a time where it's a lot colder than it has been in a while, we're getting more rains, PPE is necessary. Face masks are necessary, gloves are necessary, and we have providers that come from all over the county to come and get those resources. Finally, out of the $4 million, your share cost is going to only be $726,000. So I don't know where you're getting those numbers, but we need to have a longer better conversation. I know my time's up. Please, I'll give my business card. Please call me. Let's have a more detailed conversation, because just some of this presentation is just false.
Mr. Rozo, thank you for your comments. I neglected to say we'd like to keep the comment period to 2 minutes. That's my fault. Okay. So thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Sandy Moreno, and thank you for your presentation, because it just gave me a little bit more information on how disinformed the board is. I just want to say work is work is work is work. I was a family caregiver to my grandmother who suffered a stroke. And as you know, I did leave my career, and I was getting paid 1/3 of that, okay? Because I take care of a family member does not mean that I am not doing work. It was 24 hours around the clock, and somehow that doesn't seem to register. You're talking to community members here today. All of these people here today are union members. They are constituents. You are talking to them, and you are disrespecting the work that they do. And I have a few more points. I just want to let you know that the union is here to raise industry standards, right? And the board is letting us down. We want to make sure that this industry is well prepared for the increase of the elderly population that's going to be coming in. Whether we are family members, whether we are neighbors, friends, we are doing work that is most of the time invisible. You know, it's just a shame. It's a shame, and the county actually isn't paying anything. You guys had the choice to pay those 40 cents. You could have implemented 40 cents last time, but you chose not to. You chose to pay the penalty. That is the truth. You could have done good for your community, but you chose not to. You're letting a lot of us down, a lot of the 10,000 plus home care providers. It's time for you to do the right thing. You know, a lot of this money is going to go back to our community, so we're going to be coming back, and we're going to demand for you guys to do the right thing.
Thank you, Ms. Moreno. Who'll be next?
Good morning, board. My name is Phil Rudnick, and I'm here to speak in favor of people who have the ability to stay home but need somebody to help them in their household. Family is the ideal person to take care of other family. They're more conscientious, they're more concerned, and I think they do a better job. I don't know what the pay raise is they're arguing about, but I do know that if you have to go to a home or a facility, you're talking about substantially more, number one, with a substantially less comfort for the patient. And if you actually have to have home care, which I did, I had the privilege of being a caretaker for my wife who had a Alzheimer's diagnosis. And I call it a privilege because I was financially able to provide the help that we needed. But most people don't have that. And I think the syllable has to get on the right syllable, or the accent has to get on the right syllable. I would hope that you could recognize the necessity of maintaining the comfort of as many people as possible in their homes, taken care of by their family, who may be giving up other work in order to stay home and do that. But there's one more thing that I would suggest, and I don't know how you've put it into your negotiation. Oftentimes, family members, even though they have the heart for the job, they may not have the skills. And I would suggest that there may be some kind of further education or training or something that these home care family members can take advantage of. And the purpose is to make better caregivers for the home.
Mr. Reddick, I've got to ask you to bring your comments to a close.
And people who do a better job, like family, that are trained to do it, are entitled to a better wage.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
Before you get started, I want to make sure that we understand something. I would like everyone to do their best to stick to a 2-minute time period. I'm sure there's plenty of people here to speak, and I'm going to have to get a little bit more firm in that 2-minute time period. So thank you very much. Please proceed.
Good morning. My name is April Rios. I'm here to speak about the true cost of our proposal as it relates to the county budget. The truth is that as long as we both stay within a certain amount, the state and federal governments will pay for most of it. The county only pays 16.5% of our proposal. I don't know where Mr. Zervis is getting 35%. That is not correct.
We're going to get to the bottom of that.
That means that if IHSS recipients were to get $1 an hour this year, you would only pay 16.5 cents of that dollar. So there was a long time ago, the Kern County understood that investing in IHSS made sense. Sometime later, the county got really worried about the uncertain cost of this program due to its fast growth. So we help pass laws to help counties like Kern budget for its 16.5% share. That share of your MOE, of your maintenance of effort, is now a flat amount, which does not increase no matter how much the program grows. In fact, the program has grown over 30% in Kern since we last started this round of bargaining 3 years ago. Thanks to the flat share of MOE that we helped negotiate at the state level, you are not paying for all that growth. We hear your negotiations talk about the cost of inflation factor, which is only 4% per year, similar to COLAs you give any other worker. If you multiply the 4% for the past 3 years, you've only paid 12% of the program growth instead of the full 30%. That is millions of dollars in savings that you could have given to us. Let's face it, it benefits both us to come to an agreement every day that goes by. Kern County is losing state and federal dollars that could help our local economy. A lot of the information on that, we have 13,000 IHSS recipients in Kern County and 11,000 IHSS providers per the CDSS website that I just checked. So again, I don't know where this information is coming from, but it's being misconstrued. And every time we come up here, our words get twisted and comments like that come up. And it's just awful and not respectful. You are disrespecting all of us.
Ms. Rios, I appreciate your comments. I have 3 points there. 16.5 versus the 35. The MOE does not increase. And what was the last one? There's a discrepancy, you believe, in the number of providers.
IHSS providers, there is 11,000 per the CDSS website for December 2023, and 13,000 recipients.
Per December 23.
Yes.
Thank you. Who'll be next?
Good morning, Chairman and Board of Supervisors. My name is Julie Rocha. I am an IHSS provider from Bakersfield, and I've been a caregiver to my daughter in this community who has lived with a traumatic brain injury for a little over 5 years now. We've been here for weeks asking for a fair contract, but there is something that is very important in our contract that you all completely keep overlooking, and that's our need for basic benefits. And I want everyone in our county to know that you are ignoring the health and the well-being of people in your community, of the people that you are paid to lead and serve. You failed the over 23,000 people that are impacted by this program repeatedly, and you're continuing to do so again this year. The fact that we have to stand here week in and week out to simply fight for the most basic rights, our rights to have a dignified wage and access to basic benefits, is just plain out awful. Care work is real work. It changes lives. We are educated, we're resourceful, and our work deserves a dignified wage and benefits. You need to show effort, because the way that we see it is that you all continue to fail at understanding this program, how it works, how it impacts your community, and your negligent role in it for the past 7 years. The way that you continue to treat the IHSS workers, providers in this county, it's demeaning and cruel, and you failed us. And you're not just failing us as workers, but as human beings. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Rocha. Who'll be next? Can I get a show of hands? How many people would like to speak today? Could you do your best to come down to the front row and so you can get to the microphone quickly? Thank you. Proceed.
My name is Sydney O'Connor, and I am an IHSS provider since 2015. There was some very misguided and misinformed points made by Zervis. He said that we do not do medical work, and that was just completely misguided. I have done in-home renal therapy, dialysis for my partner, and I administer medications for him, IVs, you name it. It's medical work. So that is one of the first points. He has demonstrated a clear bias against labor, and much of what he stated is lacking full understanding, context, and quite frankly, relevance. We bargain county by county, so our wages are ultimately decided by the county. To clarify, the work we do does involve medical services. I just wanted that to be entirely clear. So we're here once again having this one-sided conversation. And we cannot accept, like he said, we could have had the 40 cents. We wouldn't accept that because that would have been insulting to the work we do. You recognize the work we do is needed, right? But you think we deserve to live in poverty. What we're asking for is not unreasonable. We are asking that you acknowledge the years of work that we have put into building the community and to caring for our community seniors and people living with disabilities, to acknowledge the role we took and continue to take as frontline workers in this community. You've wasted enough time avoiding the needs of IHSS providers. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. O'Connor.
Oh wait, I still have time. So we need an offer that shows you understand the years of neglect that we, IHSS providers and recipients have endured, and we need a wage increase and benefits now. We can't wait.
Thank you, Ms. O'Connor. Hang on one quick second. Mr. Supervisor Peters, that was from previous. Mr. Zervis, you'd punched in. Do you want to respond now or you want to respond after all of this?
I'll wait till the end. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Please proceed.
Hi, my name is Gary Baker. I am an IHSS provider from Bakersfield. I have been attending these board of supervisor meetings with my fellow union members for years now. But this time I am making the decision to speak. I want to advocate for my son who is autistic. I am also advocating to the many providers who couldn't be here today. As a single father, taking care of my 9-year-old Edward hasn't been easy. I didn't choose this profession. Sometimes life happens. I was forced to quit my job and care for my son, and that was a difficult decision to make. I am proud that after difficult circumstances, I now get to care for my son and learn everything there is to know about autism. Taking care of my son is a 24-hour job. Even when I had back surgery, I was still caring for him because I did not have the support of his mother. Many people have told me that he is my son, therefore I'm obligated to care for him for free, but the bills don't pay themselves. Others have told me to hire someone and put him in daycare to keep my job, but I believe people do not understand what it's like to care for a child with autism. My son trusts me. When he has meltdowns, I know how to calm him down. Anything he needs, I am there for him. I think it's time for the Kern County Supervisors to see the bigger picture of our hard work and invest in our wages and benefits now. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Baker. Who'll be next?
Hello, my name is Monica Escalante, and I'm an IHSS provider from Bakersfield. I've been a care provider my whole life. At the age of 12, I started taking care of my grandmother, who was a double amputee and a diabetic. I took care of my husband for 12 years after he suffered a diving accident that left him a quadriplegic. After that, I took care of my mother-in-law with stage 4 cancer, and my husband and daughters were able to build a beautiful relationship with her until her last days. I've taken care of whole generations of families, of which I am very proud of. As you can see, I love my job and I love what I do. Because of my excellent care, my patients lived a dignified life and continue to live dignified lives in their home. Being a provider isn't just about the task. It's about providing love, patience, attention, and most important, security. It requires a special person to be a care provider, which not everybody possesses. We may not have the same certification as an LVN or an RN, but if you ask the providers who are having to take care of patients who go through home dialysis, bedbound, wound care, or even mentally challenged, you'll hear that they are very knowledgeable and educated in what they do and what we do. I believe life has prepared me for this job, but when I hear the lack of benefits proposals from our county supervisors, it makes me very confused. I don't understand why you don't see our value. We are the ones present in the most vulnerable moments, including their last breaths. Where is our security? Why don't you see our worth? In-home supportive services providers need benefits. We need life insurance in case our clients pass, and they will pass. We demand that you do the right thing.
Ms. Escalante, got to ask you to bring your comments to a close, please.
We demand that you do the right thing and quit ignoring our benefit proposals. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Precious Henley. That's Henley. And I apologize, I don't have my glasses right now, but I just had a few things that I wanted to get off my chest and say to you, Board, District 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. I'm a care provider, and I've been one for over 20 years here in Kern County. And I understand that we're saying the state, the county, all this confusion about how things work and everything. And in the meantime, in between time, us care providers, my UDW members, these people that care for their family members, and people like me that care for people in our community right here in Bakersfield, because I don't care for a family member. And my heart goes out to the people that do care for family members, because the work is hard. But there's people in this community that need help, and elderly people and disabled people that don't have family members that are going to leave their jobs. They need somebody that will come in to provide the care for their loved ones. I just wanted to make a point on the numbers and the statistics. I don't have all the details, but I know from my own personal experience that there are not more care providers than there are people that need help. I get calls almost every week from people that need help, and I do interviews with people, but I work for somebody else, and it's kind of hard to decide, who you're gonna let go or whatever. So this profession is needed, and with that being said, there is no excess in IHSS workers. The difference between an active worker and a non-active worker, that might be what you're looking at with your statistics, I don't know. But like I said, I get calls all the time. And then a lot of care providers, they leave being care providers because they choose other jobs. And like I said before, last week or the week before, my passion is caring for people in my community, and there is a need out there. We care for our pets, we care for other, different entities in this community, but this is Bakersfield, and I've been here, like I said, over 20 years, and there's elderly people out there that need help. And I'm probably going over my time.
Yes, you are.
And I just wanted to get that point out. And you guys can pay that fine or help support the IHSS program, but think about your community right here.
Thank you for your comments.
Thank you.
Good morning.
Morning.
Directors. My name is Kevin Esparza. I am an IHSS provider from Bakersfield. I started taking care of my mother at 14 years old of age. I am 17 years of age now, and soon will be graduating from high school. I am proud to take care of my mother. She suffered from diabetes, polymorphia rheumatica, which is a non-curable disease of the bones, and she is wheelchair bound. But for me, it's a blessing to being able to be there for her. I cook for her, I mop, I do the laundry for her, I take her to doctor's appointments, and I make sure she's safe at home. We deserve a higher pay for the life-saving work we do every day. I know this Board of Supervisors has been trying to rid themselves of this program for years, but it's your responsibility and duty to bargain with IHSS providers in good faith and listen to and acknowledge our need for higher wages and basic benefits. Without this program, my mom would have been to live in a facility. Without me, my mother would suffer and lose her only support. It's time for IHSS to receive a fair contract with more than just mere few cents and basic benefits now. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Esparza. Who'll be next?
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Vina Michelle Jefferson. However, I didn't know that until I was 29. Met my biological mother and found out my name is actually Vina LaShelle Jefferson. I was raised in a foster home from an infant, 3 to 5 months, weighing only 5 pounds. And once my parents, those are my parents, got older, I became their caregiver. I took care of my foster mom, who was my mom until she was 102 years old. She passed away in 2015, and I kept going. However, that wasn't my intention. I wanted to go back into the work field. However, I had been unemployed for 12 years because I quit my job to take care of her. And so I've been in IHSS, and I've been a caregiver for over 30 years. I've been with IHSS for close to 20 years. And I have currently 3 clients right now. None of them can walk any distance without assistance. One is an amputee, one is a diabetic, and the other one is aged. I heard that we weren't employed by the county. However, we are hired through the county, Kern County Aging and Adult Services. Although we may be paid by the state, I think it would be a benefit for you guys to say, oh, all we have to pay is 16 cents. Let me in. I'll do that. I think we deserve a fair contract, and we acknowledge not only our need for higher wages, but also our need for basic benefits. Our work goes far beyond the basics, and our wages and benefits should reflect that. As a provider, I have to monitor my clients' blood sugar levels and administer insulin. And I'm talking fast because I see the clock ticking. I have to cook homemade meals that fit under his dietary restrictions. I perform physical therapy exercises, bathe them, change them. And if it was not for me, my clients would not be able to have their basic needs met. I just had a client get out of the hospital for 4 months, and I was still working because he needed certain things and didn't have family members to do it. I believe we should be paid our worth. We deserve higher pay for the work we do and the jobs that deserves dignified pay. You're trying to rid us of this program for years, but it's your responsibility
Thank you,
since
Ms.
we are.
Jefferson, for your comments today.
And I thank you very much. Please do your job.
Who'll be next?
Good morning, esteemed supervisors. My name is Imelda, a Bakersfield resident of 38 years, and I live in District 1. Like all of you, I too am graced with the responsibility of representing others. Democratic Women's Caucus Central Vice President, SEIU 521, former Board of Registered Nursing, Kim CLC President, and 23 years at Public Health. Today, I am speaking as the Vice President of the California Alliance for Americans, a statewide advocacy nonprofit that represents over 1 million older adults and people with disabilities, many of whom provide or receive care in the IHSS program. California's population is aging. 25% will be 60 or older in 2030. It is our responsibility to collectively and proactively build the support and resources necessary to ensure Kern County is a viable community for our aging population. To achieve this, invest in the IHSS workforce experiencing catastrophic shortage due to the inadequate pay and lack of benefits. By neglecting the workforce, we are exacerbating the long-term care crisis, simultaneously stripping our community of vital economic resources. As a reminder, IHSS providers support our local business and boost our economy. 46% of Kern County IHSS recipients are over 65, and we are already experiencing a significant provider deficit. Without the necessary investments to incentivize the workforce, how are we going to support our aging community by 2030, or even 6 months from now? Supporting the honorable hard work of DHS, IHS providers is the right choice to support our aging community, people with disabilities, and our local economy.
Ms. Beckwith, can I ask you to bring your comments to a
implore this
close,
board
please?
to make the right choice for Kern County and our invaluable IHSS workers. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments today. Don't see any others. Well, now I do. Good morning.
Good morning, Board of Supervisors. My name is Javier Soto, and I am an IHSS provider from Bakersfield. I'm here with my fellow IHSS providers today because it is about time that you begin to take accountability for the people in your community. Every time we come to this meeting or come to the bargaining tables, you come with excuses instead of listening to the facts and the stories. Let me rephrase that. I believe that you are only hearing our stories, but you're not listening. And I love to be proven wrong. Please prove me wrong that you're actually listening to our stories. You continue to misconstrue how this program works. And even worse, you continue to ignore our simple asks. We need dignified wages, not cents, and we need benefits. We have gone 7 years trying to bargain in good faith, while you continue to turn the other way. While you continue to ignore our needs of not only the IHSS providers in the county, but of IHSS recipients who go without care due to your negligence in this program. You choose to pay legal fees and incur penalties instead of bargaining. Your lack of knowledge in this program and your undeniable attempts at trying to push us off for so long is absolutely shameful. It's time for IHSS providers to receive a fair contract and that reflects dollars, not cents, and that gives us basic benefits that we are in dire need of and that we deserve. Minimum wage is not enough, and Kern County needs to pay its fair share. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Soto. Are there any other comments? Seeing none, I'll return it to the board. I'm sorry, let me ask, are there others that would like to speak? If you'd like to speak, raise your hand. Okay. Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
Doing good. How are you doing, Mr. Chair?
Another Quesera board member.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My name is Juan Gonzalez Ramos. I live in District 5. I just want to first state off for the record, I'm actually here for a different item, so I'm considering this as my 15-minute break for me to speak on this as just a member of the community since I'm here. So I guess I just had a quick question as far as to pose either for your board to consider or for Mr. Zervis to answer maybe later on in his responses to all of this.
Please.
It was just the question that I have with regards to the excess of providers. I don't know how the process works when family members are signing up, if they also get added on to the registry for others to call onto as well. I know from my experience in my previous positions and as my county employment, there were times where I would call and then they would say, oh no, I only signed up because I was helping out my grandmother or something like that. And so I don't know if that maybe could account for some of the excess workers that are on there. So that's my only question that I wanted to pose. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gonzalez. One more.
Well, good morning. My name is Jeremy Oliver, your Director for In-Home Support Services, County Aging Adult Services Department. Just to clarify with regards to the discrepancies between the 11,000 providers that are active versus the 13,000 that are eligible. So that's exactly what that difference is that there are 13,000 people that are eligible to become providers. They're just not actively enrolled or be receiving an income. We are always striving to add more persons to become providers.
And that's their choice because we have other
It may be
recipients.
exactly as Juan had just alluded to, is that someone may say, yes, I'm on the registry, but I'm already employed and I'm selected with my family and I don't want to seek additional clients. We do add about 200 new providers per week, and that's through orientation. That we also work with our United Domestic Workers to have those orientations so they understand all the options available. We continue to add more classes as we can add more providers to the system. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Oliver. Okay, seeing no further public comments, I'm going to return to the board, but I see Mr. Zervis has punched in. Was that from previously for your presentation?
No, this is, yeah, I'd like to respond on a couple points. So Chairman Couch, I appreciate the opportunity. The big question here, you've heard the number I shared with you, which was 35% and 65%, right? 35% being the county share. And what I said was 35% of the non-federal share. So the difference between the 16.5% and the 35% is the federal share. So it's 16.5% of total cost, but it's 35% of the non-federal share. And that's important because there are a couple different programs that the federal government funds, and they fund them at different levels. So the more accurate cost share when you're talking about how to split it is the 35% of the non-federal share, because sometimes the feds, pick up 17%, sometimes they pick up 35%. So when you look at the non-federal component, it's 35% county, 65% state. If you look at the total cost, including the federal share, it's somewhere between 16 and 18, just depends on what that is. So that's the difference that you're hearing. 16.5% is probably a fair estimate until you kind of refine the exact programs that are being funded of total cost, and it's 35% of the local share. We're saying the same thing. Does that make sense? I should say if there's questions about that.
It's clear as mud.
Okay. So the feds,
I understand it's complicated.
There's 100% cost. Of the 100%, the county pays, let's say, 16.5%. That number will change depending on what programs are being funded. But of the 100% cost, if you take out the federal share and you just look at the California share, 35% of the California share is county and 65% is state.
We're going to ask you to diagram this for us later.
So, and I will say,
I'm a better visual learner, I think.
We heard a number earlier that said the cost of the proposal was $726,000. To that gentleman, I'd be happy to sit down with my team and go over all the numbers. My team spends an inordinate amount of time analyzing, and this is a very complex financial model when you look at all the different funding sources and different programs, and they spend a lot of time really dialing those numbers in. We're happy to share those numbers. We're very transparent and we spend a lot of time trying to understand, what the financial commitment is on both the proposals from UDW and what the county is offering. So we'll be transparent. We'll show you our numbers. Show us yours. We can try to reconcile the two. I think like the 16.5% and 35% discussion, they're both right. It just, we need to make sure we're speaking on the same terms. But there's there's no effort to share an incorrect number. I think we're saying the same thing.
Can I ask a procedural question? Yes. And you can stop me, county council, if I'm getting into an area I shouldn't. A comment was made which makes me think of this, and that was we could have just given this pay increase. Yeah. And I'm presuming they meant by that, but I don't know. We could have imposed this contract.
So, Chairman Couch, I was going to hit that point next. You're right.
Thank you.
So there was
tell us where in the process that would occur, and would it avoid the penalty?
So your board could have imposed the 40% pay increase last year.
No, you said 40%. You mean
40 cents.
Thank you.
I think I misspoke on that a couple times. So 40 cents.
Okay.
We could have your board could have imposed that, but we still would have been penalized. So you would have paid both the 40 cents and the penalty. In fact, it was UDW that formally requested the penalty be imposed on the county.
Thank you for that.
And then there was a final comment that I wrote down, and this was about the growth in the overall program being, I think the stat was 30% growth in the total IHSS program, and that our contribution, the county's contribution, according to the MOE, is fixed with a 4% escalator every year. And that's correct. It is fixed with 4%, so our cost, so if the program grows faster than 4%, our total cost of the overall program shrinks as a percentage.
Correct.
And vice versa. The problem is the county has no control over the growth of the program. The state has total control over it, and that's why this issue of authorizing services and number of hours is really critically important. If the program were to shrink, our proportionate share would increase because we have a fixed cost with a 4% escalator.
My sense is with the age demographics, at least in Kern County, but everywhere, this program is not going to shrink. It's only going to grow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe in some jurisdictions that have population decreases, you might see reduction in services. So,
I think you hit the three main points that were brought up as discrepancies, or alluded to that. I don't see anyone else that has punched in. Well, I'm sorry, we've closed the public comment. It's been returned to the board. I appreciate the fact that you would like to do that, but once I open that up, we'll go on for a while. I apologize. That concludes your comments?
It does, Chairman Couch. I would just reiterate, I'm open and my team's open to share numbers to make sure that we're all under the same understanding. So I'll have my cards here, and folks, happy to continue to meet and reconcile any differences that may exist when it comes to the data or the numbers.
Thank you. Seeing no board members that would like to speak, there is no action for us to take today. This was just to hear the presentation. I don't want anybody to. Please, you go, Supervisor Perez.
Oh, there we go. Sorry, Chairman, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I did want for the public and for folks watching at home to know that information has been exchanged here. You would think that this kind of thing would already happen, but it's still extraordinary that it's happening, because that feels like progress to me, and we do need to get on the same page. Thank you for your leadership. The leadership that is present is assertive, aggressive, and determined to, make progress. And I think getting on the same page about the numbers is the absolute first step. So thank you, Jim. I saw you exchange that information. I have every confidence that we're moving forward to clarity. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you. Before we move on to this comment, and I'm not speaking for the board, I'm speaking for myself, but I think I can speak pretty easily. I can safely say that the board, and you don't have to believe me, you don't have to believe us, that is entirely up to you, but I'm going to say it anyway. We do respect the work that you do. We believe that it is vital. We believe that the service you provide does save the overall. I'm sorry, I sat quietly and respectfully while you were speaking. I'd ask you that you do the same. We do recognize that it saves money. It is a delicate balancing act that the board has to perform along with the staff to make sure that every bargaining unit, of which UDW is one, is treated fairly and respectfully, and we only have a finite amount of dollars to deal with. And I can promise you, this gets our due attention when you are here, but even when you are not here. We have discussions in closed session quite frequently about this particular topic, and I want you to know that we do appreciate what you do, and it does have our attention. Thank you for that. That concludes item 27, and it's going to bring us back to public presentations. So we'll take a 1-minute recess while they clear the room. Call the meeting back to order. The board is reconvening and all members are present. We are now on item 12, which is public presentations at 11:22. Welcome. By the way, I'd like to announce, I'm sure that you all are, I'm assuming you all are here to talk about elections. And Amy Espinoza, our auditor controller, was here this morning. She had to go upstairs for a meeting at 9:30. She planned to be here to respond to you all, but she's going to be back at 2 p.m. Our 2 p.m. session, just so you all know. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
You bet.
Good morning, board. Congratulations to the chairman.
Thank you,
sir. My name is Charles Shin. I'm a retired Marine, S-H-I-N-N. At the last Board of Supervisors meeting, dated 19 December 2023, we addressed Judicial Watch's multiple letters and final filing notice directed to the Secretary of State concerning notice of violation of the NVRA. 46 out of 58 counties in California are individually deficient in complying with these election laws. Kern County is among the worst offender. We are one of 19 counties who failed to report any data as required to the Election Accountability Commission. 0 data reported for the last 2 years. Our elections chief is responsible for this by law, not the Secretary of State, who is only responsible for oversight to ensure all counties comply with this law. Mr. Zervis, you interrupted our report to interject a falsehood, stating this letter did not involve Kern. Quote, the report was directed solely to the Secretary of State. Unquote. This is false. This involves a majority of clerks in California, 46 out of 48, or 58. At the conclusion of our presentation, Supervisor Scrivener made a request to the CAO to have the county clerk present at all future meetings. Mr. Scrivener added that the previous meeting on 28 November, he didn't see, quote, these fine gentlemen who were noticeably absent at that particular item, unquote. Mr. Scrivener, we had 2 election integrity folks present. Both of us spoke during the open session, then again after the ROV gave her report. Maybe you weren't listening or paying attention. We don't all need to attend every meeting to stay informed or to share mutual concern and support for these separate but unified messages. We individually or mutually attend as appropriate and permissible. I suggest that the board think about adding our group to the many committees the supervisors already meet with on an official basis.
Thank you, Mr. Shin.
Thank you.
Good.
Dennis McLean, MC, capital L-E-A-N. Congratulations, Mr. Couch.
Thank you.
Good morning, supervisors, Mr. Zervis and council, and attending staff. I would like to read for the record my email I sent to all supervisors December 21st, 2023, 2 days after your December 19th board meeting. Quote, during Tuesday's board meeting, multiple citizens from Kern County exposed the failures of our Kern County Election Division in complying with the National Voters Registration Act of 1993, NVRA. Yes, the Judicial Watch letter was addressed to Shirley Weber, California Secretary of State. However, the County Board of Supervisors cannot neglect our Kern County Election Division that has failed to comply with NVRA. These failures and nefarious behaviors by our election department officials have been going on for years and must be stopped now. With the upcoming presidential primary just 74 days away, it is imperative that this Board of Supervisors add a specific discussion of NVRA/Kern Election Division on January 9th, today, 2024 agenda. Kern citizens deserve the opportunity to openly dialogue in public with the Forum of Supervisors and Kern County's elected representative, Amy Espinoza. Time is of the essence, and this is a critical matter that can no longer be swept under the rug. I look forward to your promptly and timely reply. Sincerely, Dennis McLean. That was 22 days ago, and I have no reply from any supervisor. The Bill of Rights gives us, we the people, constitutional rights to take our complaints to elected officials and seek to have their issues resolved. I consider this non-action a dereliction of electric duty. In closing, I want to discredit Mr. Flores for calling our supporters election deniers. Shame on you for that comment.
Who'll be next?
Morning, Ron Barger.
Morning.
It's been 3 years that we, the people, have been attending board and council meetings lawfully, peacefully, requesting to have a transparent election. 6 superintendents, 2 clerks, and 3 years later, you've extended the Dominion contract for 3 years, ignoring we, the people's requests. Our concerns are with the voter rolls, the cast vote records, the mail-in ballots, and the Dominion machines. The machines can be hacked according to numerous top forensic specialists, and we'll have more convicting evidence to present after all of our primaries. The lack of involvement by the board, kicking the can down the road to the clerks for all the answers, making a decision at the last minute to extend Dominion's contract, even though there wasn't an election until November of 24. I call that a red flag. November 3rd, 2020, I cast my vote in person at my precinct, signed in on an electric signature apparatus. After finished, I couldn't see it was my name, it wasn't legible. Had my ballot in my hand that was mailed to me, filled out my vote there, walked out with the ballot in my hand. Another red flag. 11 p.m. November 3rd, 2020, I went to bed with Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Georgia, all with insurmountable leads for President Trump. The next morning, all were flipped for Biden. But this also exposed the machines in those states shutting down all at the same time in the early a.m. The people's request is simple. Paper ballots, in-person, same-day voting, ID required. There's a pecking order in the Declaration of and the Constitution. It's God, we the people, legislative, executive, and judicial branches, and through the years, it has somehow been reversed illegally.
Thank you, Mr. Barger.
Pardon?
I'm asking you to bring your comments to a close. I'm trying to keep everybody.
The Declaration of Independence is our right. It is our duty to throw off government that ignores the will of the people. I thank the boards and the councils of America. You have awakened the patriots, and we will never, never stop until we reverse our republic back to God, we the people. So help me God.
Thank you, Mr. Barger.
Morning, Board.
Morning.
I'm Andy Hensel, Hensel. Congratulations, Mr. Couch.
Well, we rotate it once a year, so I was a shoe-in.
Very good. Well, I want to talk about the relationship between we, the citizens, and you supervisors. In addition to public safety, homelessness, helping local businesses, parks and recreation, the election division is only one area under your control. You have to know a lot about a lot. However, our citizen group is concentrating only on the upcoming election and the unlawful practices that you are allowing to proceed. I prefer to think that you are breaking the law unknowingly because you're so busy with other projects and good works. This dereliction of your duty inspires corruption. By allowing voter rolls to be unmaintained, there will always be a room at the election office that has enough undeliverable ballots and returned ballots that could be used to change the course of any race or all races. Some local number crunchers have estimated this number to be in the tens of thousands, but an independent group recently put this number at 75,000 ballots. Imagine the power that gives one county clerk. imagine the power that gives any supervisor who is overseeing that clerk. What a temptation. So what should the relationship be between our citizen group and you supervisors? Well, for me, it's like my wife reminding me not to be late for an appointment. Now, I could get mad and accuse her of hassling me and threatening me, but that would be very unproductive. Likewise, your unlawful lack of action is very unproductive. Moreover, it's just wrong.
Thank you, Mr. Hansel.
Yes, and it's a slippery slope that invites an expanding epidemic of corruption.
Thank you for your comments today. Any other comments under public presentations? Had a feeling you had one.
Good morning, if it's still morning.
Morning. Still for a little bit.
My name is Ralph Robles, R-O-B-L-E-S, and I am a veteran, and I've got some letters that I wrote to the editor that I'd like to give to the board.
Just hand them to Ms. Krause.
I'd like to talk about this ugly thing that has reared its head in this county, and it's called censorship. The other day, the Bakersfield Californian accused us in this group of being part of some conspiracy to overturn our country. And also, I call that censorship when we are called names for coming up here to beat the board. And I would like to apologize to the board when our group got reminded not everyone was here for Ms. Espinosa's presentation. Unfortunately, I had an accident and I ended up in rehab, but I apologize for not being here. Although I will tell you that I did watch the presentation on the internet, and I was left with a lot of questions. Among them is, what have you done about the voter rolls? How many have you removed? Apparently, Judicial Watch found a lot of them in Kern County. I think, what was it, 10,000, 15,000, something like that? Anyhow, the other question I had was the cameras, surveillance cameras over the drop boxes. Why did Ms. Espinosa seem to think that it was important to protect the anonymity of would-be ballot stuffers? I thought the purpose of the cameras was to prevent ballot stuffing. And the other thing was, I understand that there's not going to be any camera surveillance of the signature proofing room.
Mr. Robles, I got to ask you to bring your comments to a close.
All right. Again, the ugly threat of censorship has reared its head in this county. I think we should all work to make sure that it does not prevail.
Thank you, sir. Other comments under public presentations today on anything that's not on our agenda? All right, thank you. Ms. Espinosa, I believe, will probably be here at 2 if she's able. She wanted to be here at 9, but she had to be upstairs. She may be responding to your comments today, but it'll be at 2 p.m. session.
Unfortunately, my daughter needs the car in order to go to her doctor, so I won't be here. But I will be watching.
Just information.
May we respond after her comments are concluded
Where you could
in the afternoon?
let me move on here, and we'll get you an answer to that from Mr. Zervis over here, but not during this portion of the meeting. Thank you. Or your designee, Mr. Zervis, whoever you'd like to have speak to them about the flow of the meeting and when best to do that.
Yeah, no, thank you, Chairman. I'm happy to speak with them after the meeting.
Okay, thank you. That brings us to item 13, which is board member announcements and reports, and I know we have a few of them today. I'm going to start with Supervisor Perez. Well, I thought you had a comment about parks. I should be on your staff.
Chairman, thank you. You are on top of it this year. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. You know, we had the recent, very exciting, jubilant news that we have been awarded a new grant from the state for Potomac Park. And really, it's good to see you, Mr. Hill. We've had, you know, a remarkable up and down roller coaster ride, if you will, applying for grants, getting rejected at Potomac, and then, of course, this incredible, exciting news. And I was hoping that staff could give us a sense about what that is and what the timing is like. And this community has been waiting years for this opportunity, and so I am really excited, and I'm really grateful to the county, our staff, Mr. Hill, who's going to give us more details now. This is a lot of money, and it is such incredible improvement for Kern County. So I was so excited, I forgot, apparently.
Yep.
So Supervisor, Chairman Couch, thank you. You're on top of it. And Mr. Hill, thank you so much for what you've done. Bring us up to speed on these details. This is very exciting and completely transformative for the community. So hats off to you, and what a great way to start the year.
Thank you, Supervisor Perez, the chair. Yeah, it really has been good. We were contacted in November about the possibility of additional parks grant funds. $41 million was released by the state. They made 8 awards. The county got one of those. We got the lion's share of the money. We got the biggest share, 7.4, I believe is the number. It will completely transform this park. There's a couple of parts on that park, if you look at the drawings, that will be sort of repaired, but for the most part, everything is replaced. That's a lot of money, and it's a decent-sized park, but it's not a massive park. So we're really happy about the project coming up. I would like to thank specifically or recognize Nadia Lopez, who was the designer on the original grant, Carl Brewer, who is always a star in communicating with the community, Matt Howard, and Isaac Preston with Parks, as they really spearheaded the direct communication with the community and soliciting input. This design is based specifically on that input that we received from the community, as well as the CAOs, Amanda Reese. They all were really active in the original. This goes back 3 years or more. Right. So really happy that you brought it up. Great to be able to display the project and recognize the people who really took the lead. Also, I guess I buried the lead. It's the community, right? The community came together. We identified a great park for this work. The community came together. We got great input, synthesized that into a great application, and then here we are. So timing, these projects need to be completed by the end of 2027. As you know, we have a lot of work in front of us right now, and this is additional work that will have to be prioritized. So we will be faithful to that deadline, the end of 2027, but also understand that we have been funded through general fund or through some ARPA funds for a portion of this work that we're going to be pursuing because we have a different deadline for that money. Okay. So we're going to take that scope of work and complete it early. So there will be a touch on this project. It'll be, for the most part, redoing the play area and the play surfacing. So hope that gives you enough information. We're really happy and excited for the additional work.
Jeff, thank you, Chairman. Just one more quick moment. This is so exciting. The organizing that has taken place by that community is really, really profound. And we will take the same Adopt a Park program with this same built-in community that already loves that park. I remember one of our first meetings, Jeff, a gentleman across the street would take his water hose personally and cross the street and water his favorite tree there. And the commitment level, the devotion to this park by this community, the organized community, is astonishing. It's special, Jeff, and it's so nice to reward this hard work this way. I know that there are members of that community who have your staff on speed dial. Your team has been so accessible, so available, and so hopeful, despite the fact that we had the terrible news of not getting it the first round. It really goes to show that being prepared, being shovel ready, has its own value, and that we, pushing doesn't give us 100% of what we want. Nothing does. But it certainly gave us an advantage here to be prepared, to be able to fight for these dollars. We got the lion's share, which is just so exciting because that's not common for Bakersfield. But the preparation, the sophistication of the team is demonstrating that there are real wins as a result of that. So I'll stop. Thank you, Jeff. I'm really excited. Thank you, CAO, and your team.
Thank you, Supervisor. Moving this direction, Supervisor Peters.
Thank you, Chairman Couch. I just wanted to share that unfortunately the community lost a great man recently. Mr. David Etter was a good friend of mine and a good friend to a lot of people in our community. He was a business leader in Kern County. He was with Schwabel Petroleum for many years. He was an avid hunter and outdoorsman, and unfortunately he recently lost a lengthy battle with ALS. So in honor of David and on behalf of his wonderful wife, Patty, and all of his friends and family, I would just like to ask that we adjourn today's meeting in his honor.
I'd be happy to. I just learned about this past week. Thank you for doing that. Supervisor Flores.
Thank you, Chairman Couch. I have two referrals. One is kind of a formality, just to give the heads up to the board that something will be coming at the end of the month. We talk a lot about our oil and ag sectors and our economic milieu of mining, military, logistics, but this is where the rubber meets the road, is to support our proud ranching and ag history here locally. Our sheep, specifically our sheep industry. The Kern County Wool Growers Association has been a long-time presence in Kern. They've been part of Western states' rural economies, helping with food production, helping with fiber, helping with environmental stewardship in terms of grazing and all the benefits that encompasses. But the fact of the matter is it's under attack by Sacramento, by minimum wage requirements, by the cost of doing business in California, but also the cost of doing business globally, as this is a global market that's dominated by New Zealanders and Australians. No offense, I went to school in Australia for a semester, and I love Australia. But we need to support our local ag industry. They've come to us for support. We talk about this storied legacy. Any one of us is probably at Wool Growers on a Friday night enjoying exceptional American lamb because they buy American and they buy it here from Kern County. And that helps our jobs and our families and our livelihoods. So I'm just asking that be brought back at the end of the month from the CEO's office to bring back a resolution that they've crafted, essentially asking us to lobby our congressional representatives to put in strategies and policies in place to protect our American ranching and lamb economy. That's item one. Item two is code enforcement. It's something that we all deal with. It's at the tip of the spear. It's one of the #1 departments that I'm engaged with. I'm sure we all are. And it's one that makes a difference out in our communities to cleaning up problem properties and abatements. And I'd like to just thank my code enforcement officer, Jason Smith, and the department. He does an exceptional job with limited resources day in and day out. But I'd like to have our county council as well as Public Works bring back an item to strengthen our ordinance to act quickly, to be more effective. And this is not a knock. I'm trying to give them more tools. But when you look at our structure, our timeline of the first initial citation, 30 days, second 60 days, third 90 days, it's very lengthy. And that's just build up problem properties, eyesores, blight, yada, yada. Whereas our city, our city of Bakersfield down the street, they have a much quicker operation. They do a 7-day notice. They're out there in 7 days, and if it's not abated, it comes back quickly in a 10-day period. By 30 days, they're already, if it's not abated, they're already doing the abatement with contractors themselves. So I'd like to see some options for our board to consider that would speed up that process and revise the 30, 60, 90 paradigm to something quicker. If staff needs 14, fine, or if we could do it in 7, or whatever resources are needed to tackle this more quickly, I'd really appreciate it. And also look at the fine structure. Those fines look very old, and they correspond with the 30, 60, 90 period. And I've been told that a lot of the businesses rather just pay the fine because it's the cost of doing business, and they're taking shortcuts and it's easier. So I think that if we can strengthen the fining structure, the time structure, that our constituents, our businesses, and our community will be better served, particularly with all the impacts on homelessness and what have you. And I know there's some problem properties in my district that could really benefit from this, as I'm sure there are countywide. And so I'd like to see something come back before our board in 30 days to have our board discuss and take some action. If you need more time, let me know, but I just like to throw 30 days out there. And if staff needs any more information, come see me or my office. And both of these would require a motion. I'm happy to make a motion on both. And those are my 2 referrals. Thank you.
One motion is fine for both items. I mean, it's okay with me, but
I think under this circumstance, it will be fine.
okay. So you have a motion? We have a motion. We don't have a second.
Yeah.
Second.
Okay, thank you.
Please cast your,
Yeah.
please cast your votes. Perez got in there.
The motion is approved. All ayes.
Thank you. Okay, we're still not done. We've got 34 and 38 still to go. So on to 34, I believe. Is that right, Madam Clerk? Okay. It is a proposed agreement with the City of Bakersfield to provide funding for the expansion of library services at the Holloway, Gonzales, Baker, Wilson, and Northeast Branch libraries from February 1, 2024 through January 31, 2029 in a total amount not to exceed $2,780,098. Turn that over to Mr. Zervis.
Yes, Chairman Couch, I want to make a couple brief comments, and then I'm going to turn it over to your Director of Libraries, Ms. Sullivan, to speak to the specifics on this, and I will keep it brief. We've had a lengthy morning. I just want to highlight this as another successful partnership between the county and the City of Bakersfield. So we've had a number of these in the past few years. Most notably, we work together on graffiti abatement now within the Bakersfield metro area, and that successfully served our residents in a much more cost-efficient and effective manner. This is another example where, where we're able to identify a need, in this case, a need for expanded hours, and find a joint solution where we can come together as a city and county to better serve our common residents. The truth is I think most people in the Bakersfield metro area really don't know if they live in a county pocket or within the city limits, just because of how our Bakersfield has grown over the years, and with those numerous county pockets that we have and large ones. So I'm excited. I just want to highlight and say, I've expressed my thanks to the city. I saw Councilman Aris here earlier. I think he's probably left at this point. But it is another example of us being able to come together and work productively for really a more efficient use of taxpayer resources and better service delivery for our residents. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Sullivan. I will add that this item will go before the City Council on the 24th. So your board is considering action ahead of the City Council on this. But we've worked extensively with staff through the City Manager's office to get it to this point. So, Ms. Sullivan.
Thank you. Good morning.
Hey, good morning. Good morning, Chairman Couch, members of the board. Thank you, Mr. Zervis and Mr. Ryan Alsop, for working on this for several years and making it happen. We're super excited to expand hours and resources at the 4 city libraries, Holloway Gonzales, which is East, Brundage, and Union. Northeast Library, which is Oswell and 178, Wilson Branch, which is Wilson and South H, and Baker, which Baker. It just stands by itself. So we're excited to bring extra programming, STEM programming, family programming, early literacy, senior programs. This will change the hours, which is super exciting, from Tuesday through Saturday at all of those locations. Right now, some of those branches are 2 days a week, some of those branches are 3 days a week. So it really does expand the resources to those communities. A lot of those communities are transportation challenged. A lot of them ride their bikes, a lot of them walk. A lot of kids come after school. So this will be a benefit. We're excited, and I know that we have had a long morning, but some good news to end on, hopefully, so I'm excited. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. I'll open it up for public comments on this item. Seeing none, I'll return to the board for any questions, comments, or action.
Okay.
Move approval.
We have a motion, Supervisor Scriven, and a second. Please cast your votes.
The motion is approved. All ayes.
Thank you all for your work on that, and thanks to the City of Bakersfield as well, in advance of the votes, I guess.
You're welcome.
Item 38 is a presentation on efforts and a strategic plan on a newly formed Kern County Health Equity Partnership. Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman and members of the board, and Happy New Year. I am Bryn Kerrigan, your Director for Kern County Public Health. I'm joined this morning by Jasmine Ochoa, Public Health Program Manager and Kern County Public Health Equity Officer. The item before you is a presentation on the efforts and the strategic plan of the Kern Health Equity Partnership. And before I get to the strategic plan, I want to give you all a little background on the importance of health equity and the formation of the Kern Health Equity Partnership. As you are all aware, Kern County has over 900,000 residents from diverse backgrounds and life experiences and various demographics. Kern County is the third geographically largest county in the state of California, spanning over 8,000 square miles and consisting of diverse geographies and communities with varied levels of access to healthy foods, transportation services, and healthcare services. Additionally, Kern County's median household income is $58,000, which is 30% less than what we see statewide at $84,097. Kern County also struggles disproportionately with many health-related challenges and outcomes, and our residents are skipping wellness visits and preventative care at higher rates than the national average. Specifically, Kern County adults were 1.2 times less likely to have visited a doctor or other healthcare professional over the last year than the average American. Kern County residents also report fair or poor health at higher rates than residents statewide and even nationwide. Specifically, 22.9% of Kern County residents reported fair or poor health, while only 17.3% of California residents reported similar health rankings and 16.1% nationally. Further, Kern County has fewer healthcare providers available per capita when compared to California and the nation, with even more pronounced gaps in specialty care areas like dental and optometry services. The department set a goal to identify challenges and barriers that our residents experience and to close gaps and address these community health needs. A change of this magnitude requires systemic change and partnership amongst all local health agencies and community partners. In July of 2023, the Kern Health Equity Partnership was formed, and partnership includes Adventist Health, Anthem Blue Cross, Bakersfield American Indian Health Project, Bakersfield Memorial Hospital, Community Action Partnership of Kern, Kern Behavioral Health and Recovery Services, Kern Community College District, Kern County Network for Children, Kern County Superintendent of Schools, Kern Health Systems, United Way of Kern, and as you can see from this slide, many others. The Kern Health Equity Partnership brings together trusted community leaders, health equity champions, and partners to work towards expanded access to quality healthcare services and improvement in the overall health of all Kern County residents. Since July 2023, over 200 community members and partners have been engaged, and the department has convened with over 86 partners throughout Kern County through a 6-month-long strategic planning series. From these sessions, a strategic plan was formed, establishing measurable goals and objectives, focusing on 3 key areas that serve as barriers, preventing Kern County residents and families from reaching their optimal health potential: access to care, education and health literacy, and socioeconomic status and poverty. Goal 1 focuses on access to care and specifically states that by December 31st, 2026, access to health care in rural communities will be improved by addressing geographical barriers and lack of providers for Kern County communities who are underserved and challenged with accessing service providers. This goal will be achieved by meeting 3 objectives over the next 3 years, including the creation of telehealth services in non-traditional settings such as churches, schools, senior centers, and libraries, and strengthening transportation services in the rural areas of Kern County. Goal number 2 focuses on education and health literacy and specifically states that by December 31st, 2026, health literacy opportunities will be increased by addressing the county's literacy levels and cultural differences and supporting community health workers, promotoras, and social service providers. This goal will be achieved by meeting 3 objectives over the next 3 years, including hosting community education sessions on health topics in various Kern County communities and holding community conversations and trainings with healthcare agencies, clinical providers, community health workers, promotoras, and social service providers aimed at understanding community experiences, sharing universal best practices, and supporting service delivery. Goal 3 focuses on socioeconomic status and poverty and specifically states that by December 31st, 2026, the partnership will contribute to improved socioeconomic status for rural and low-income households through the creation of pathways to employment opportunities. This goal will be achieved by meeting 3 objectives over the next 3 years, including conducting a gap analysis and workforce opportunities and the creation of pathways leading to quality jobs. While some of the objectives within the strategic plan are specific to certain community groups or geographical areas, the objectives are designed to establish a framework that can be replicated throughout Kern County in all areas experiencing similar needs. I would like to thank our partners for prioritizing health equity, striving to ensure all Kern County residents have the opportunity to reach their highest level of health potential, and dedicating their time to this important work. Many of our partners joined us this morning, many of whom also had to leave because the meeting lasted a little bit longer than what we anticipated. But Mr. Chairman, with your indulgence, I would like to acknowledge those that still remain and ask them to stand.
Please.
Thank you. And thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. As you can see, we have a lot of work ahead of us, but as a partnership, I truly believe that positive change and a healthier Kern County is coming. This concludes my comments on this item. Both myself and Ms. Ochoa are available for any questions that you may have.
Thank you for your presentation. Any questions from the board before we open it up? Seeing none, anyone here like to make a public comment about this item? Seeing none, I'll return it to the board.
Is it receive and file?
It's received, not even a receive and file, just hear the presentation. So that brings us to the conclusion of the morning agenda, right at noon. Still, well, 12:01. And so I'd like a motion to adjourn the morning meeting in honor of David Etter.
So moved.
Thank you. We're adjourned.
Second. Oh, no.
To close session.
2 in nearby Palmdale, California, which now falls under the umbrella of the 412th Test Wing. Plant 42